In 1939, a case came from Italy that would become one of the most chilling true crime stories ever told. It involved a woman who appeared to be an innocent, kind-hearted soul, but whose actions would soon reveal a much darker reality. This is the story of Leonardo Chan Chuli, a woman whose name would become very famous in the world of true crime. Born on November 14, 1893, in the province of Avellino, Italy, Leonardo's life began in turmoil. From an early age, she faced the neglect and cruelty of her mother, Emily. Emily never showed any affection for her daughter, whom she saw as a product of a forced marriage to a man she didn't love. Leonardo's relationship with her mother, Emily, was deeply damaging. From a young age, she felt the sting of rejection, as her mother never showed her any love or affection. Every time Emily looked at her, she was reminded of her unhappy marriage, and that resentment poured out onto her daughter. The atmosphere in their home was filled with tension and bitterness, and Emily would frequently lash out, physically punishing Leonardo. These harsh experiences left lasting emotional scars that shaped Leonardo's entire sense of self. Leonardo's childhood was filled with loneliness and desperation. As a young girl, she attempted to end the abuse by running away on 2 separate occasions, but each time she returned home. As Leonardo reached adulthood, her longing to escape the emotional torment she had endured for so long grew even stronger. She dreamed of leaving behind the cruelty of her mother's home and building a life of her own, free from the constant pain and bitterness. In 1914, Leonardo met a young postal worker named Raphael Pansardi. She fell in love with him, and more than anything, she wanted to leave her parents' home. This was her chance to escape, to build a life of her own, away from the torment she had known. Raphael was kind, and for a while it seemed like things might improve. But Emily and her husband had other plans. They were furious about Leonardo's decision to marry Raphael, and they wanted her to marry her cousin instead. Against her parents' disapproval, Leonardo married Raphael, hoping for a new start. But their life together was far from ideal. Raphael, once a good young man, began to struggle with alcoholism. His drinking worsened, and as he drank away their savings, Leonardo became the breadwinner of the family. The constant strain and financial instability took its toll on their relationship, and Leonardo's hopes for a better future quickly faded. In 1930, Italy was struck by a powerful earthquake that devastated many regions, including Avellino. Leonardo's home was damaged beyond repair, and she and her family were left homeless. They returned to Leonardo's childhood town, where, despite the damage to her home, she attempted to rebuild her life. But the struggles didn't end there. Leonardo suffered an unimaginable number of miscarriages, 17 pregnancies in total, but only 4 children survived. The trauma of losing so many children weighed heavily on her, and she became overly protective of her surviving children. This obsession with protecting them stemmed from the belief that a curse had been placed on her family, a curse she blamed on her own mother. Her deep fear of losing her children led her to seek solace in the spiritual world. Leonardo became deeply involved in spiritualism, palmistry, astrology, and other forms of occult practices. She consulted fortune tellers and read books about black magic and curses. She believed that her life, and especially the lives of her children, were under threat from some malevolent force. One fortune teller even told her that she was destined for either a psychiatric hospital or a prison, 2 places she could never escape from. The fear of losing another child became an obsession. Each night, she dreamed of small white coffins being swallowed up by the earth, and she couldn't shake the feeling that death was constantly looming over her. This supernatural paranoia grew stronger as time went on. By 1939, Leonardo had separated from her alcoholic husband and moved into a small apartment on Century Thief Avenue with her 4 children. Despite the challenges, she began to rebuild her life once more, opening a small business selling old clothes, soap, and offering tarot readings. She had a reputation for being friendly and helpful, and people in the neighborhood thought of her as an innocent, kind-hearted woman. Her children were doing well in school, and Leonardo's life appeared to be improving. A dark obsession was beginning to take hold. World War II was started, and her son, the favorite one, entered the Italian army. Fearful for his safety, Leonardo grew paranoid. She began to believe that her son was cursed and that he was destined to die in battle unless she could protect him through some dark, supernatural means. Desperate to protect her son, Leonardo turned to the occult for answers. She concocted a sinister plan to make human sacrifices, believing that offering innocent lives would somehow ensure her son's safety. Using her knowledge of tarot cards and black magic, she lured her victims into a false sense of security. She promised them a better life, one filled with love and prosperity. But in reality, her only intention was to sacrifice them to the dark forces she believed in. The first victim was Melinda Faustina, a local woman who had become a close friend of Leonardo. On December 17, 1939, Melinda visited Leonardo, excited about a new chapter in her life, which Leonardo promised her would be filled with love and adventure. Leonardo gave Melinda a glass of wine laced with sleeping pills, and once the woman fell unconscious, Leonardo moved quickly. Leonardo dismembered Melinda's body, cutting it into 9 pieces. She then placed the body parts in a cauldron, adding caustic soda to dissolve the remains. The mixture boiled for hours until the body was no more than a gruesome slurry. Leonardo then mixed the resulting soap with flour, sugar, chocolate, milk, and eggs, and baked cookies with the blood of her victim. These cookies, which would become a trademark of her gruesome acts, were served to her neighbors, who thought nothing of it. They enjoyed the delicious treats, never suspecting that they were eating the remains of a murdered woman. Leonardo's twisted logic told her that her son would be protected, but the horror had only just begun. Leonardo's second victim was Francesca Clementine, who disappeared on September 5, 1940. Like Melinda, she had been lured into Leonardo's web with promises of a better life. The same fate befell her, sleeping pills in her wine, followed by dismemberment and boiling. The body was turned into soap and cookies, which Leonardo continued to distribute. Virginia the Jock, a 59-year-old soprano, was Leonardo's third victim. She too was lured with promises of a new opportunity. Virginia's body was boiled in the same way as the others, with the added touch of cologne, which gave the resulting soap a distinct fragrance. Leonardo then baked more cookies, serving them to the unsuspecting public. The disappearances of these women went largely unnoticed at first, as each one had a reason to leave, and no one suspected foul play. But as Virginia's daughter-in-law reported her disappearance, the police began to investigate. They eventually discovered the grim truth about Leonardo's crimes. Upon searching Leonardo's house, authorities found jewelry, personal belongings, and belongings of the 3 missing women. They also uncovered the axes, knives, and cauldron used to dismember the bodies. Leonardo confessed to the murders, explaining that she had killed the women to protect her son and fulfill a blood sacrifice demanded by her late mother's spirit. Leonardo was arrested and tried for her crimes. Despite her defense, which claimed that her actions were driven by supernatural forces, she was found guilty. She was sentenced to 30 years in prison and 3 years in a psychiatric facility. On October 15, 1970, at the age of 77, Leonardo passed away from a stroke in the women's psychiatric prison. Her case shocked the world and remains one of the most disturbing and perplexing true crime stories ever told. Leonardo Chan Chuli's ability to deceive an entire community and carry out her horrific crimes, all while maintaining the facade of a friendly, helpful woman, is a chilling reminder of how evil can hide behind the most unsuspecting faces. Thank you for watching.